Welcome, everyone, to the Splash City Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hartman, and it is Sunday, March 1st. It is officially the greatest month of the year for basketball fans. It's the most wonderful time of the year for me, and this is what a lot of the year outside of family things. This is what it's about. This is a great time of year. We're gonna get into an exciting conversation I had with high school coach, undefeated Morris area Chokio-Alberta Tigers, Jake Torgerson will join me. But first, let's talk about what's happened over the past few days related to the teams and games in the upper Midwest. Timberwolves take down the Nuggets today. They take over the fourth seed in the Western Conference, just mathematically behind the Rockets for third. Timberwolves, for whatever reason, match up really well with Denver. It's kind of been going back now a few years since the game seven, 7 game series that they won. But, I think part of it is their center, the Nuggets, as good as Jokic is, he's not a super athletic guy they're gonna throw lobs to and put pressure on Rudy to play in space. So Rudy can guard. I know Jokic is unbelievable. He has 30 some points again today, but it's not something that Rudy's on an island very often against him. So they just, and Jaden loves guarding Jamal Murray. Jaden had another big day today. He had 20. Ant had 21. Just really balanced scoring. That's the key to the Timberwolves' success is when they're moving the ball, when they're sharing it, when it's not a ISO ball and hero ball, they're really, really good. So they get the dub over the Nuggets today. Big win for them. Other games that I want to talk about today, Gustavus wins the MIAC tournament title after winning the regular season title. I took my son and with some friends, we went down to St. Peter to watch that game against St. John's. Couple of things that I noticed: more post ups in college than I remember seeing. Gustavus plays a very physical style of basketball. They have guards that are big and strong that can post you up. Um, and then they also stretch you out, and they got their big guys can shoot the ball from the perimeter, so they just can space the floor around Miles Barnett, who had 29 points. He was awesome to start. He was awesome to finish. Jake Schmidt kind of took over the scoring early in the second half after they got down by 12. The Johnnies really competed. They just they didn't have enough around freshman Peyton Padani, who had 24. The Anoka product had a big game for them, but just kind of ran out of gas in that second half. Game of runs. Um, doesn't look like any other MIAC schools will be in the Division III tournament. Looks like just Gustavus this year. Later this week, I'll have a conversation with Concordia's Tyler Borman, and that's a fun conversation. Concordia, third straight year in the MIAC tournament, won 20 games this year as well. They were one of the teams that had a chance possibly to get an at-large bid, but they're not going to make it probably this year. And then Bethel on the women's side won the MIAC tournament in Concordia. So taking down the 1 seed Concordia, the Concordia women should get an at-large bid as well. So the MIAC will be a two-bid league in that Division III women's basketball tournament this year. Minnesota Golden Gophers, another impressive win on their home court. They are now 3-4 against ranked teams, which is pretty impressive considering they're down 3 starters at this point, and 4 of their top 8 players. Only 4 guys scored. They're only playing 6, but only 4 of the 6 scored yesterday. They beat UCLA. The barn had a great environment. Bobby Durkin hit 7 threes. Um, and just one thing that stood out to me about the Gophers this year is that I don't think people understand maybe how hard it is mentally and physically, both, to do what they're doing right now. Michigan blasted Illinois on the road. They blasted Purdue on the road, and Minnesota only lost by 10 in Michigan. Um, there's the physical aspect of playing 6 guys, but the mental aspect of having to show up and know that you have to play well because we're only playing 6 guys, there are no other options. I'm just really impressed. Again, it's kind of the same thing I've been saying. Nico's doing an incredible job. I think one of the things that stands out to me about him specifically is his EQ. It seems that he knows what kind of guys, the toughness, the guys that he brought in, they've been playing really consistently since they lost Vaihola and Willis in late November. Outside of maybe a really rough stretch against Wisconsin after they built a big lead and maybe the second half against Nebraska, they've been pretty consistent. And in most of the games, even when they lose, they're competitive. So really impressed with Minnesota right now. In the Summit League, St. Thomas finishes off their regular season strong by beating the number 1 team in the Summit League, NDSU, by 22, and then they got Omaha on Saturday by 15. They'll open up Summit League tournament action on Thursday against South Dakota State. The Tommies right now are number 1 in the country in two-point percentage. They are number 2 in average two-point distance, so they're getting to the hoop and they're finishing. And then they're number 4 in effective field goal percentage. So just really great offensive team that St. Thomas has. Really hoping that we can get an NDSU St. Thomas rematch. They split the regular season games, each one on their home court. Um, and that's, all we can ask for in the Summit League. This is the first year that St. Thomas is eligible for the March Madness for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. And so, that should be a great tournament down in Sioux Falls. Again, later this week, I'll have a conversation with Terry Vanderveck, who is a marketing manager at Sanford Sports, and he'll talk about hosting these tournaments in Sioux Falls. Just a great sports town. Lastly, before we get into the main segment today, I wanted to give a shout out to my niece Lily. She was on the podcast last week talking about her senior year and what that all meant to her, playing with her sister. And I heard, my sister joined as well, and she talked about it from the parents' perspective of having a senior. Her team falls in a heartbreaker. West Central area Knights lose to Rothsay in girls basketball on a shot with about 5 seconds to go. Really tough loss. Really exciting game, to be honest, but tough way to go out for Lily, but I wanted to give her a shout out and say thanks for coming on, and we're still proud of you, Lily. But today's main feature, my interview with head coach of the number 1 team in Minnesota boys basketball class 2A, Jake Torgerson of the Morris area Chokio-Alberta Tigers. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, we're officially at that time of year. Section tournaments are starting for the boys' side this week in Minnesota. 3AA bracket kicks off tonight. Everyone is kind of chasing Morse area. Chokio-Alberta Tigers are undefeated on the season, sitting at number 1 in the AA poll. Had some good battles with the teams in that section, Montevideo recently, who knocked them off last year. But leading the way for that program, played for the Tigers, took over for his dad, Mark. Joining me today is the head coach of the Morse Tigers, Jacob Torgerson. Jake, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Steve. It should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know there's a lot going on in your world right now. What are the vibes like? How's the team getting ready for tournament action here?
Yeah, I don't. It's always that, like you say, you get March 1st is on Sunday. You're just more. I'm more excited and anxious. I think more than anything, and maybe nervous is more common term, but I'm just excited to get it rolling, and it's been obviously a heck of a season and whatnot, but just to see it play out, and obviously the goal is to win the first one tonight, but then obviously the end goal of to win 4 more to be able to make it down to the cities. So
Right. So before we get kind of onto your team, I want to talk a little bit about your
for sure.
background and your story. If people don't know, your dad, Mark, coached the Tigers for 35 years, I think it was,
Yep.
593 wins. You take over for him. How did you get into coaching, first of all, and then how was that transition going from your dad to you taking over the reins?
Well, just going back to college a little bit, and 2 years at Fergus, and then 2.5 years at Mayville State, and what was I gonna do for a living? Well, math came easy, so it turned into math teaching. Well, obviously teaching and coaching go hand in hand. I did my fair share of like youth stuff, or would come back in the summer, help my dad with camps, or a
Mm-hmm.
lot of youth baseball type stuff, and just it just something that grew upon me. And it's always funny you say, oh, I'm not gonna end up with like my parents. Well, and pre- pretty sure I'm in the exact same classroom that he taught in now, and doing the exact same job. And yeah, just pretty surreal deal for me, but just pretty special to be back in my hometown, which was a little bit unexpected. So
So when you get to teaching Morris and your dad's stepping down and you take over, what was that? Was there like are you sure you want to do this, son? Is this really what you want to get into?
um I think my 4 years as an assistant were really special, just to to realize the full gig, not just Tuesday, Friday night, or whatever night it is,
Mhm.
but the the youth aspect, or even into ordering travel gear in November before the season starts, and you're trying to make sure that you got something ordered for every kid because it's gonna take 6 weeks to get here, and you wanna get it within your first few games at least, right? So,
Right.
that
Yeah.
kinda some of the behind the scenes stuff that I kinda started to help him with, and
Mhm.
even some of the technology using Huddle and
Yeah.
all that stuff, where I kinda got a little bit of an idea of how the behind the scenes stuff works, and then just the coaching aspect always came fairly natural, I think, and just so the behind the scenes stuff was probably the stuff I needed to really learn, and I got a good head start on that for those 4 years when I was his assistant. Then obviously having the success and players that we had during those times made it pretty fun too. So made me excited for what was to come, and now obviously in my 4th year it's been good.
Yeah. I don't think people quite understand all that administrative work that goes
Yeah, for
on for
sure.
coaches.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a
just
lot to do.
making sure kids get money paid for stuff that they're maybe getting the association's paying partial on, and stuff like that that
Mhm.
just is good. Yeah.
For sure. Was there any I mean, obviously growing up with your dad, was there any, like, piece of advice or wisdom he dropped on you that you remember? Or was it more like you learned a
Um,
lot just from watching?
yeah, I think just the idea that he's a he's an open book as far as reach out with questions, whether it's after a game, or you just need someone to talk to after close win, close loss, what could we have done better, but
Mhm.
just the idea that not necessarily one specific thing, but just the reassurance that he's got my back, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I the first year he was around a lot more, I would say, like practice, and since then he's still around at practice every once in a while, but it's kind of it's more so he's shooting me a text at 2:45 and making sure that where practice is, or if where we're starting, if we're starting with film, or if we're in the weight room or whatever. So he's a lot more hands off now, and not that he was still letting me do my thing even back to that first year, but just obviously making sure everything goes smoothly. So yeah, it
Yeah.
it, it was a good transition, and I obviously pretty thankful for the kids that he didn't leave the cupboard dry, I guess, by any means. So
Yeah.
we had good kids coming through, and obviously a good group of, I mean, for the last however many years now, and just not even athletes wise, just really good kids in the classroom too, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you guys are on quite a run here. I think it's, 5 or 6 straight years of 20 plus wins, couple state tournament appearances with the Jackson Logie crew, who's now playing up at Concordia, and
Right, for
he
sure.
just finished his career, I think last night, right?
Yeah, that was,
Uh,
I think, what they lost by 5 or something like that, was it?
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So, what about let's talk about this year a little bit. This year's squad, obviously undefeated, but we kind of were talking about this before about scheduling. You talked about the Annandale game, and I noticed too, like the end of the year, you guys were up in Moorhead playing Kindred. You had Albany on the schedule, last year's Double A champion, and then you played at Annandale,
Mhm.
and then came home and had Montevideo.
Right, right.
The next night, I know that was maybe a makeup game or you had a makeup game in there with them
Yep.
somewhere, but, was that like a conscious decision of you and the AD to kind of figure out like, "Hey, we got a pretty good team. Let's really test ourselves in February?"
Right, yeah, I mean, last year we were supposed to play Albany in the Alexandria Breakdown Day on the Winter Classic in early February, and then it got snowed out, and then they were actually gonna come to Morris. We were gonna play at the college last year, the one time Albany was, and then I think it was, like, too cold, kinda like our Monty game this year, the first time, where it
Mm,
was talking -40, and I don't know if we didn't have school or Albany didn't have school, maybe, because and then they weren't able to travel here, so then we weren't able to do that, so then it just turned into, while they were gonna come here again this year, and it happened to be on a Monday, of course, which is always interesting, just as far as not a lot of time to get ready for even one day, but it
Right.
was it was the Monday before the Tuesday caucus, which we couldn't play on that Tuesday, the 3rd, so we
Yeah.
we played on that Monday, and, yeah, just that was, I would say, a highlight of our season as far as getting the town and community to, not that they weren't excited, but to truly believe in this year's team of what could happen and what is to come. The place was packed. I hadn't seen it like that since probably 2010. I think we played New London in a West
Mhm.
Central North South game back when we were both probably in top 5 in the state, and so that was a special game, and to come from behind like we did and give our kids credit just to battle and find a way to win and make enough shots and get enough stops at the end. So that was just a big piece of our season, and I'm getting after that, then it's kind of okay, we're getting into that little bit more thick of the year with some of those games like you talked about, Kindred, Annandale. But yeah, overall just trying to play a tough schedule. I mean, it doesn't do a lot of good to you. Every coach wants a few really easy wins just to kind of relax for one night, hopefully, but just to the idea of getting better, I think is a
Yeah.
huge thing, and that happens in those games. Like we got better in the Annandale game, down one. We made some adjustments at half, and we we got better obviously in the Albany game. Kindred, we played probably one of the top 10 athletes in all of the tri-state area as far as truly athleticism. Brooks Bacco from Kindred's unfortunately rolled an ankle in that game, but he's all of 6'5", 6'6", and has every SEC football offer that he could ever imagine. So just
Mm.
he playing kids like that gets you better, and just credit to our guys for getting through that gauntlet of a schedule, I would call it, and here we are already at end of February talking playoffs. So
Yeah. So you mentioned the adjustments in that Annandale game. I've seen a few games like that with you guys where halftime it's, nip and tuck, close game, maybe you're down a couple, and you just kinda take it to another level in the second half. You mentioned some adjustments. How much of that is, like, your kids
yeah,
buying
for
into what you're
sure.
saying, but also just their, like, determination? Because I
Our
noticed that in Annandale, you
yeah,
guys completely flipped the script in that game.
just just 100%, not X's and O's adjustments, just telling those guys to believe in themselves and realize that Annandale was awfully good and talented, and you can see that they've put time in the weight room, and obviously that
Yeah.
leads to a Class 3A football title. But our kids have put time in the weight room too, and just realizing that it's right there for the taking. It's a playoff environment. I know you said that in your in
Mhm.
your Instagram post, and
Yeah.
just the opportunity that was there for them to go get it, and they're a bunch of competitive guys, and just it's so fun each and every day, and to the point in practice where you can tell that they wanna do well, no matter whether it's a we could be shooting threes on 2 different baskets, counting to 10 just to get some competition involved, because they just get so gritty all the
Yeah.
time on some of those deals, and it could mean one sprint, or it could mean absolutely nothing. It's just they wanna win. So
Mhm.
I would say that just the determination of, "Hey, we can box out a little bit better, and if we can rebound, we're gonna win this game. We can get a stop. If we can execute 2 sets down the stretch to get a couple easy looks for some of our better guys or better players or better shooters," whatever you wanna call it. Just credit to our kids for believing in themselves, but to be coachable and to believe in our staff too. So
Mhm. One thing that stands out to me is your defense. You guys have played a couple of games. I mean, you held Monty to like 30 some points the other night.
yeah,
What I know, like part of it is you guys have some great length, like a lot of 6'3", six
yeah.
four athletes, long. But you guys do a really good job of switching and communicating. How has that come about with your team's defense and like what?
Honestly, 100% experience. I mean,
Mhm.
try and do some of the same stuff in the JV level, and they're getting better at it. But it's just these kids have played together since they're 7, 8, 9 years old, and obviously they're not doing some of the same scheme stuff defensively then, but just
Mhm.
trusting each other that my if I get beat, my guy is gonna be there to help me, and to be able to switch stuff like that, or just to yeah, just to believe in each other. I mean, I know I said
Yeah.
that the other time, but to be a good athlete, but then also to have the mental capacity to use that athleticism in a coachable manner, and to like you said, defense is the name of our game more than anything. I mean, even Sock Center gave us a heck of a battle the other night, and
Yeah.
we were at 8 games, I think, in those 14 days, and 5 in about 7 days, and, um, just our legs got to us maybe a little bit finally, but ultimately, it was 51 to 46 or something, so
Yep.
even to grind that game out when when your legs aren't there to shoot the ball, but to get enough stops and enough rebounds and enough clutch baskets to hang on against one of the teams that's one of the most improved teams in Double A from the beginning to end of the year is the Main Streeters over there in Sox, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
So talking about that game, I also noticed like West Central was fairly close.
Yep.
You're starting to get postseason play now, but
Right,
you're definitely gonna get everybody's best shot.
for
But you
sure.
started to get everyone's kind of best shot. How do your kids respond to that? Because it seems like they almost relish that a little bit
Yeah,
and kind of
for
feed
sure.
off it.
They they certainly do, and I think that's the competitive nature in them of how they grew up, and just a lot of it's their parents all played sports. I mean, we got kids whose parents coach college, have coached college, played on national tournament teams, um,
Mhm.
all I mean, that's where it starts, right? Is how are you raised, and your competitive nature obviously kind of starts has to start somewhere, and a lot of it's at home, but yeah, just really good quality hard work and determination, like you said, but a little bit is I always say, cocky's not the right word, but you gotta you gotta have a little bit of knowing that you're good to be really good, and, it
Mhm.
doesn't come without hard work, but, just to, like you said, have relish that little bit of target on your back, and obviously I know for a fact, like, the target's on our back right now. I mean, it's to not have lost going into the playoffs is incredible, but it's right there for the taking for anybody in the section. I mean we haven't played Jackson County since the section final a few years ago, and
Mhm.
they have the same guys. We have a few of the same kids, but they have a few of the same kids, and obviously Monty's got kids. Fairmont's got good players, so I
Yeah.
mean our tonight you never know, but then New London in the second round potentially, or Painesville, or whoever it is, you're gonna get everybody's best shot, like you said. So just credit to our guys for sticking to the plan throughout the year, and just to, like you said, relish that target on their back and just compete all the time.
Yeah, one thing I noticed when I'm looking at playoff section brackets and stuff, I'm kind of blown away, and it's your guys' section. It's the one with like Goodhue and those guys, and I'm
Section
like,
one is
man,
absolutely a gauntlet for sure.
I'm like, you're gonna play a second round game against like a team that's been ranked in state at some
Yeah,
point this year.
Jackson
Like that's something
Fairmont in the second round for sure. That's
that's
just
crazy.
it is.
You were talking about the kids and the parents, and I know quite a few of the parents there, but, like,
Yeah, for
when I
sure.
watched Riley Asmus, I was like, "Oh my god, does he play like Jared?" He looks and he moves and he plays just like Jared, just so fundamental around the basket, like,
Yeah,
footwork and crafty and just smart, like, super impressed with him, but also, your whole team, the
yeah,
balance,
for
so
sure.
what is, like, the formula? It seems like you got a lot of guys that could stand out, but there's a really nice balance. Again, maybe personality, parenting, but like it seems like they all kind of have a nice role that they fulfill for
Yeah.
you guys.
I think it's a lot of it goes down to what such good friends they are outside of basketball, almost all of them, um, and I tell those kids all the time, you don't have to be best friends outside of basketball, but when we're in basketball, we're gonna be a team and we're gonna get along and we're gonna
Mhm.
like there's gonna be conflicts, but you battle through it and you do it for the good of the team. But yeah, those kids, I mean, just an example last night, speaking of Jared and I took some kids up to watch the Alexandria and Totino game, which I don't know if you caught any of that
Great
at all,
game.
but just an absolutely crazy ending, obviously, but just
Yeah.
the idea of watching high level basketball. We were sitting near the student section. We could hardly see at times, but we're in the front. And we saw all those kids right in front of us, and I think the appreciation that our kids had for how hard both teams were working, and I think that just reassures them like they can do the same thing, and just the composure Alexander showed when they were down 20, and I think that's something special that I hope our kids picked up on, but to be able to get back in it, and obviously the unfortunate loss, but yeah,
Mhm.
just the bond that the guys have, and like some of them don't play football, some of them don't play baseball, but they're all still pretty good buddies all the time. And then now you get most of them together in the basketball season for one last run. When some of them have been playing for 2-year starter, you got 3-year starter Jack Kehoe, 4-year starter Riley Asmus. It just then you mix in a younger guy and an older guy, and they just click. So it's fun to
Mhm.
see from watching from afar, but obviously right in the thick of everything too. So
Yeah, one thing that stood out there to me is the being friends off the court, on the court. Like, I think we probably all had people we played with that
for
maybe weren't
sure.
our best friends off the court, but
Yeah.
when it comes time, do I trust you to
Yeah,
make a play
for
or
sure.
get the stat, whatever, like that trust is as important, but seems like a lot of the best teams have
Yeah,
that,
hundred
bond
percent.
that's yeah.
I just think kids in general, they have the same interests. They're gonna be pretty good buddies in and out of
Mhm.
basketball. So
Right. Um So you guys have ACGC tonight. We talked about Section 3 AA a little bit being tough. What is your do you have like a mantra going into the playoffs, or like how are you
I,
approaching this? I mean, obviously you're one game at a
yeah,
time, but
for
like
sure.
um yeah, like what are you
I,
telling your team tonight?
yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to whatever you're doing in the present to do like we have all year. I mean, you mentioned what are the halftime adjustments that we make earlier. Well, the halftime adjustment or just the full time adjustment is just the times here, like, you've put the hard work in, but it's gotta continue, and to
Mhm.
to be aggressive defensively and to make the extra pass offensively or to come to a jump stop in the lane and get your teammate a shot instead of forcing one on your own or whatever that is, just being consistent, and we've kind of I've kinda even on myself over the last few years, you get early in a game and you're down a little bit and you as a really young coach, you maybe panic a little bit or, "Okay, how are we gonna stop that?" Well, our motto's a little bit been play the long game. It's a 36-minute game. You gotta
Mhm.
go you gotta play for 36, and obviously, Alexandria last night, we saw that, and we talked about the Albany game earlier, but and the same thing can be said if we jump out to an early lead. I mean, we gotta we gotta play the long game. You gotta do it for
Mhm.
36 minutes, and, just I would say that's the one thing that we're keen on is just to stay level, get excited, get back to an even level, not too high, not too low, and just play our game and realizing that everything will take care of itself with hard work and little determination, little schematics, and hopefully
Mhm.
some few shots that go in, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, defense obviously travels, defense comes with you every night, so that should help you
And
guys, but
yeah, that's the deal too. Yep, just everything. This offense will take care of itself. It is what it is. The defense you can
mhm.
control a lot more. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I've noticed that watching you guys about the long game, like, you guys kinda wear teams out a little bit, and, like, once you kind of feel that flip in momentum, it's you guys kinda
yeah,
take
for
control.
sure.
That's when you really get going and you get some great possessions and stuff, so
Hmm.
well, I'll get you out of here. Good luck this rest of the postseason here, ACGC tonight. We'll be following you. Any final words?
Yeah, just wanna thank you for having me on. I
Yeah,
just pretty surreal for you to come on and ask me to do this, but then to, just bring up my dad and just makes me think a lot of where I'm at right now in life, and it's just pretty special, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
absolutely, man. Yeah, it's fun watching your team play. You guys play hard, play the right way. It's a joy. So good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks.
So that's the show today. I want to thank Jake Torgerson, head coach of the Morse area Chokio-Alberta Tigers, for coming on and joining me, giving me a breakdown of their team and their season. They have a matchup with New London Spicer Wildcats in Section 3AA. So this week we have girls section championships. We have boys section tournaments going on. Big week ahead. Summit League tournament. Some of the mid-major college tournaments are happening this week as well. And so, again, I can't tell you how excited I am for March. It's here. We'll be watching it. We'll be following it. Follow the program Splash City Basketball Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, subscribe, and Facebook as well. Follow me around and let me know in the comments what you think. Leave a review. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate you all listening. It's going to be a great month of March. Stay tuned for more. This has been the Splash City Basketball Podcast.
Back in that bag again. Whoa, yeah, yeah.